It's a hard one. I don't go around shouting that I'm natural. Quite frankly, I couldn't really give a fuck. I could not give a fuck. I think a lot of people do take the pride in that because they feel better than other people being natural, but at the end of the day, it doesn't mean anything. It literally does not mean a single thing. A natural athlete and an assisted athlete have to do a lot of the very similar things. It's just the difference in the mindset of what actually can and cannot be done. But as a natural athlete, like I say, I don't go about shouting it. People know I'm natural. If people ask whether I'm natural or not, I will happily open up and tell them that I am, whether they want to believe me or not. But at the same time, I don't care at the end of the day. I don't care. I won't put it in my Instagram bio. I won't go and shout about it on social media. To me, it's not something that I need to be like, oh yeah, I'm natural, because at the end of the day, nobody cares. Nobody cares. I just want to show what can be done. And whether people want to believe that or not, that's up to them. But deep down in myself, I know they won't as well. But to me, it's not about going about and shouting about not using anything, because I feel as if that's just, again, that's a cop-out of just either not having the self-confidence in yourself and being what they classify as a fake natty, or at the same time it's just about having to try and tell people you're better than them because you don't use this or you don't use that, and that's not me. That's not me.
I'm being a gentleman.
A gentleman.
Oh, thank you, Cancellation.
No problem at all. Is that everybody? Well, it fucking is now. Fuck off.
You're getting quite big in the bodybuilding. People taking notice and stuff. What do you think they like about you or your approach or whatever?
Your face.
Well, to be could be my face. Yeah. To be fair, it's definitely not my looks. I think if anything, I would like to just cut the top half off. But training, it's got to be training. Training's everything. Training's everything. Which again, everybody's losing that kind of, what would you say? We kind of just had this conversation in the car, but it's like the enjoyment factor, the fun factor about training. Everybody goes into the gym now and is just so stressed about their Bible that they go in and, or their diary that they write their notes in, whatever it is, and it takes away the enjoyment part, and that is everything. That's why you very rarely see people going bonkers now in the gym and going in and training hard, because everybody's just too stressed about numbers and weights.
But it's good to have a plan. So what do you think the hiccup is?
I think people are just too concerned about doing that one rep more the next following week, because we have to take on board any sort of circumstance could cause you, that could literally be 10 minutes less sleep, could cause you to lose a rep, maybe not do that extra 5 kilograms. That doesn't mean you're going back the way. What that just means is it's one of them days where you're not going to be at that complete peak strength and be flying with brand new numbers, but you can still go in and train super hard and you can still progress that way. So I think that's the biggest part.
What do you personally look forward to that you're just hungry to tear it up? Because there's an energy you have when you're lifting.
Yeah,
I
always chase that performance, that intensity, that feel of being able to just take my body past where even I know, because again, that's something that a lot of people do not actually take into consideration, especially as a natural athlete. Which I absolutely hate using that term, but it is what it is. Too many people think it's genetics, or they think they can't do this, that, the next thing because they're natural, when realistically speaking it's a mindset, it's a mind game more than anything else. And for me, it's mind over everything. And I know what, as a natural athlete, I know there's no such thing as limitations, and that's the way it's always going to be.
Oh yeah.
There's never going to be one, never.
Bodybuilding aside, we are all athletes, we are all people, and I think the biggest thing for me is never setting limitations on what's actually possible. Now that's not just as a natural athlete, could be even on the assisted side as well, because I'm the last person to have anything against assisted athletes, but at the same time I really have I'm a very big advocate of what's actually achievable without assistance, and to me that's everything, because I think self-belief is everything, and especially whenever I'm in the gym, whenever I'm in training, whenever I'm doing crazy big weights on whatever it might be, to me, I really need to be in these things before I'm even trying to do them. So I'm seeing these things before I'm actually in them, and to me that's a really big level of self-belief. That's a really big level of not setting limitations on what can and cannot be done, especially as a natural athlete, because I feel that's something that we very much get tangled up in this new generation, and especially in this day. It's very hard to turn around and tell somebody that you can do more without having anything there to help you, because a lot of people feel that they can't recover from this, they can't do this because they've not got assistance, they might not have the genetics, or they fully believe they don't have the genetics. Like, there's so many reasons that outweigh the part of, right, you can do this, because people can't see it and people aren't willing to be able to see it. And to me, that's absolutely everything, and I want to be able to showcase, especially as a natural athlete, what actually can be done. And I want to be that proof, but I also want to be able to actually show people that it's not just about me turning up to the gym and going into the gym and lifting big weights. It's not about me looking the way I do at 25 years old without drugs. It's not just that, it's actually tapping into the mindset, because your mind will always be your strongest muscle, no matter what anybody tells you. Your mind is going to be that determining factor of whether you get up in the morning at a specific time, whether you eat what you need to eat, whether you sleep how many hours you need to sleep, whether you come into the gym and you see sets before you're in them, whether you believe in yourself that you're actually capable of doing something. And to me, that's absolutely everything, especially inside and outside of natural bodybuilding.
When I picked the 110s up, I was like, shit, these are actually quite heavy. But then see, when I flicked them up, I was like, oh fuck, it's on. It's on.
I think it's a bit of both. I'm doing as I do because I love what I do. I love training, I love natural bodybuilding, I love bodybuilding in general. Like, my passion for this grows absolutely every single day, but at the same time, I also want to be that example, because I want to be able to showcase to people what they actually can do. And I want to be that, like I say, I want to be that proof. So I want people to be able to look at me now, in 5 years, in 10 years, 15 years, even when I'm finished. I want to still be that example and that blueprint of, no, that actually is possible. Let me show you why that's possible. And let me show you the reasons behind why that's possible.
Good. Good. Make it light. Again. Again.
Okay.
So this takes me all the way back to school. This takes me back to being that 14, 15-year-old boy that was at school. I always wanted to be a professional wrestler. I looked up to John Cena, and he was like that role model at that time. Like, I never grew up with a male role model. I grew up with my mum. My mum played that role, and that was everything to me. She was always my support. She was that person that, you know, go and try that. Go and try that. And I tried lots of different things. I never failed at them, I just never enjoyed them. I would do it for 2-3 weeks and then I would just sack it off. Until it eventually got into that part of, right, I'm going to try the gym, I'm going to try and train. But at that time I wanted to be a professional wrestler. Now, we lived in the very back and beyond, a place where there was literally nothing. So if I wanted to become a pro wrestler, I was going to have to travel. And this was going to involve 3-4 hours of traveling there, 3-4 hours of traveling back, multiple times per week to attend a wrestling school, in which I eventually did at 16 years old. But I had to get into the gym first because I wanted to lose a bit of weight, get fit, and that was the main goal. Now, like I just said there, John Cena was always my role model outside of bodybuilding and professional wrestling. Now, he always had the motto, never give up. And that was something that was deep inside of me from the very, very, very beginning, because I knew I was starting from literal scratch. I knew I was starting from nothing. And to me, it was so dug inside of me that was enough for me to get up every day and want to show up. And that was just within the goal of professional wrestling. Like, if I had to travel 4 hours there to attend a wrestling school for 2 hours to learn how to take a bump on a mat, I was doing it. I'd done this for years. I achieved the dream of becoming a professional wrestler. In that time of becoming a professional wrestler, I was training more, I was getting into shape more, I was realising what I could do with my body and how I could achieve different detail, different lines of my body, and I was learning more about nutrition. That was then allowing me to learn a little bit more about bodybuilding in general. Once I kind of got to that position where my physique that I had achieved was a little bit maybe more than what I expected, because I was kind of starting to look like a bodybuilder. I wasn't looking like your average Joe just walking down the street who maybe goes to the gym 2 times a week. Like, I was training 7 days a week. I was eating whatever I could get my hands on because I didn't have the money to go to the gym and just buy chicken breast whenever I wanted it. My mum was a great help. She was able to help me provide really good food for my physique, but at the same time it wasn't a case of, right, I can eat 6 meals a day, I can eat what I want, I can drink what I want, I can have this, I can have all the supplements under the sun. I was doing what I could and I was getting my hands on what I could, and that was that. But because of that, I was able to then start achieving more strength in the gym. I was able to start achieving more aesthetics in terms of the looks, and that again allowed me to kind of look into bodybuilding a little bit more. And that was when we got to 2017, I think it was actually just before that, maybe in the end of 2016, I thought, I'm going to give bodybuilding a go, because at the time there was nobody. Like, I wasn't around bodybuilders. I was training out of a local leisure centre. So again, it was YouTube, it was social media. The magazines, yes, but I can't sit and read a magazine for ages. I'm all about listening to something, watching something. That's how I can take something in. So I was learning about training and things, kind of getting more of the bodybuilding side of thing popping up more. So I was watching a lot of kind of old school bodybuilding videos, your Jays, your Ronnies. That's the kind of ones I was always into watching. And from there, we spiraled into 2017. I competed for the first time. Surprisingly, everything went very well, but that wasn't really it. It was a case of I wanted to not achieve anything. I didn't have expectations of going in and achieving big, but I just wanted to give bodybuilding a go to see if I could, just to see if I could have what it took to complete a competition prep and get up on stage. And from there, from the first initial show, which actually I will put out there was an untested show, I was hooked. I was literally hooked. I was like, this is amazing. And I think it's very easy to become hooked off of doing really well, because you always want that feeling of accomplishment of doing really well. But it wasn't that. And don't get me wrong, the season was very successful, but it was a case of I didn't want more of that feeling of success. I just realised how much better I could become. And to me, that was absolutely everything, because I was like in a position where, no, I can become better. I can become better. I can become better. And I got as far as a Federation's British finals, and I placed runner-up. And to me that hurt, because I was like, right, I now need to become better. I need to become better. And this was then in natural bodybuilding. This was in a natural bodybuilding federation. So from there, I had the goal of becoming the British champion, because I came runner-up, and I was like, shit, like I was so close, like so close. So I was like, right, I'm going the next year. I'm going the following year. I'm going to become British champion. So fast forward on another year, we go through the qualifier, win the regional, on to the British finals. I come second again. I'm like, shit, like what am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? So it's a case of, okay, we go again. Simple as that. And that's the only way my mindset was. That was the way that my head was screwed at the time. It was like, we go again. So from the age of 16, when I got into that leisure centre gym, now although bodybuilding wasn't the goal, I isolated myself in that place to become better, to become that professional wrestler, to become the best professional wrestler I could, to stand out in the wrestling school that I went to, because of how committed I was to doing everything that I was doing inside this leisure centre gym with minimal equipment. Fast forward on into 2019, we're going again. This is the 3rd consecutive year of competing. Now about this time, I came to the end of my wrestling journey, just because the time was right, and I had achieved so much in professional wrestling, which was really good for me. And I thought, you know something, I had to come to the term with doing one or the other, because I thought for a long period of time I could do both. But it was getting to that point where I was getting booked for a wrestling show, but I was also like 2 weeks out of a bodybuilding competition. So I was super lean and trying to go in and do a no disqualification match, getting hit with kendo sticks, like bamboo canes, steel chairs, and it just wasn't the most ideal situation on the planet. So we put the wrestling to the side. That was something that was boxed off, and continued on with the bodybuilding. We got into the 2019 season. I had the regional again to get to the British finals. Regional went very well, won the overall. Onto the British finals. This was like after coming off the back of winning an overall, this was like it wasn't clarification, but it did give me a little bit of extra confidence that I was going to do better at the British finals. Now, as the years go on, the caliber of natural bodybuilding has become better and better and better and better. We got to the British finals, second place. This was the third year in a row that I got to the British finals and I got second place, and I was like on stage, when I heard my name get called out second, like my heart just sunk, and I was like what have I got to do? What have I? That was the only question that I really had to ask, and I was in like my best condition. I was the biggest that I've ever been, and it just still wasn't enough. But that peace in my mind of we go again was there. It was there. So off the back of stage, the following morning, once we got home, because at the time we were still staying in Scotland, so we still had, I think it was in, I can't even remember where the place was, but we still had the big travel home. Following morning, couldn't sleep that night. I was straight back in that leisure centre gym first thing in the morning. I was like, we go again, because that was something in my mind that was just stuck. Like, I wasn't going to dwell on that any longer. I dwelled on it for 5 minutes on stage, got off of stage, and thought, what's next? Because to me, that was what I had to do, and what I fully believe you need to do in order to get better, because it does become an obsession. But if you're not fully obsessed with becoming better, especially in this industry right now, it's going to be a massive hurdle to get over once you eventually come to that position of, right, yeah, I'm motivated again to go again. Like, I wasn't thinking about being motivated. I wasn't motivated to go again. I was like, right, I'm going to get better, and that's it. It's as simple as that. So I was in the gym the following morning. We start again. We go straight into the off season. 2020 comes around. All of the COVID rubbish, all of that happens. Gyms are getting shut down. Everything's happening. But I was like in my head, like I've got a British title to achieve. Like, that in my head was just everything. We eventually found out the season was going ahead, but only as an open British finals, so anybody could turn up. You didn't have to do a regional, you didn't have to qualify for it. The British finals was going to happen. We never had a specific date, but we eventually got to the end of the off season, dieting started. Okay, we're going for British finals, and that's it. So at the same time, all I had in my head was I was still a junior, so it was a case of junior second place, junior second place, junior second place. I had one more year as a junior. Now, the British finals eventually happened after being pushed back. We even got to the point where we were 2 days out of the British finals, and it got cancelled. So that was most definitely the hardest part for me, because getting to 2 days out, we had almost completed peak week. Lots of things went on in peak week, like crazy depletions, crazy carb ups, water loads. So to be told at a couple of days out that the show's been cancelled, it is going to go ahead, but we don't know when. Potentially another 4 weeks, another 6 weeks, when I was already maybe 30 plus weeks deep into the diet. I was seeing people pull out, seeing people drop out, seeing people be like, this is too much. But to me, it was just that British title. Like, I have not came second place 3 years in a row to then just cop out now, because the show is not going to happen for another 4 weeks. So we dig, we push on. And it comes the time for the British finals. We eventually arrive at the venue. There was no spectators. There was just the judges, the competitors, and that was it, because nobody was allowed in. And that's when everything changed. I became the junior British champion. I went on to the overall. I won the overall. I gained my pro status. I got invited into the professional leagues lineup that night and came first in the pro class. That's when everything changed. That's when I was like, these 3 years into this 4th year that was probably the most challenging because things kept getting put back. That was why. That was why. And it all takes me back again because, like I said, John Cena's motto to this day is still never give up. I could have easily given up in multiple times throughout that full journey, but not once did I. I was put against the wall so many times, even back in the small town that I was from. Like, it's very small town mentality, so you're talking 90% negative, 10% positive. I was put against so many people who, oh yeah, he takes steroids, he takes this, he does that. Why is he doing that? Why is he doing this? He's not lifting that weight without doing that. Like, all of that. I isolated myself away from all of that, and I was like, right, okay, I've got a job to do. We move on, we get better, and that's it. When I achieved that in 2020, I was like, okay, I can do shit. I am in this position now where my mindset changed again and actually, okay, was like, right, now there's not a single limitation on what I actually can and cannot do. And that was when I realized very quickly that self-belief is everything. And it's not, a lot of people would ask if it's cockiness. It's not cockiness. You can be confident in yourself. You can believe in yourself without saying, yeah, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do that. I never said a word. I just done it. I was all about doing. I was never about all over social media saying I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. I want to show you my work. I don't want to tell you what I'm going to do. And again, that to me right now is still everything, because I will still come in every single week and pull 7+ plates off the floor. But it's not because it's like that's just my working set now. But at the same time, throughout a lot of my sessions throughout the week, I'm lifting as heavy as I can on that given day for as many reps as I can. And the majority of the time when I step through that gym floor, like the gym door onto the gym floor, like when I'm in here, then my mindset changes again. It's like, okay, we've got work to do. But I'm tapping into that mindset every single time more and more. And that is something that, for me, like I say, setting limitations on what you can and cannot do. And that could even be just as far as saying, I've done 10 reps last week, I'm not going to get 11 today. Just that little turn of saying I'm not gonna is the determining factor of whether you're going to do it or not. And it's like, we have, like myself and Sarah, we have conversations about it all the time. Like, there's so many times where she might say, I can't do this, I can't do that. And it's not even to do with like training, it could be to do with anything. My first answer to it is, you're not going to do it with that attitude. Because if you turn around and it's got anything to do with not being able to do something, you won't do it. It's as simple as that. Because you'll always have that in your head. And your mindset is by far the strongest and will always be the strongest towards whether you want to do something or not. Now, you could try and still not do it. But if you've got that willingness to try one more time, go again, it's going to come. Your time's going to come. But you just need that self-belief.